Welcome, Soul Tribe. We have the amazing Galactic Greg in the house. Welcome back to the My Health Podcast. Been numerous times we've had you here and always had just such a great time. And you're in the Ozark Mountains. Tell us about that, Galactic Greg.
Oh, yes. Well, as I stated off camera, it is a check on the bucket list. The Ozark Mountains have always intrigued me. Mountain living and mountain life has always intrigued me. And my twin flame Floyd. The aspect of being away from it all and truly being connected to nature and just being involved in the majesty of it all and being able to actually take it all in a much more grander scale than you can just by watching it on TV or just taking a walk in a park somewhere. This is truly getting to see and visualize the majesty of nature, and the Ozark Mountains are no exception. As I was telling you, it's almost as source creation just kind of wove everything together in like this intricate woven pattern. It's incredible, and it's straight up inclines and straight down inclines. I mean, it is mountainous. I have been climbing certain spots of the mountain, and I tell you, I'm in shape. I am in shape. I am physically in shape, but these inclines going up and down, the heart chakra is going, whoa. This is new.
Get the pulsation going. I love
this
it.
Is new.
It's like sacred geometry there from what you're depicting. So I'm sure it's recoding every aspect of your cellular DNA, your chakra system, the neural loops that maybe we went round in the brain are starting to recode, and you're just going straight up. You're going straight up and then straight back down, but going down's not an issue either because we get to anchor back down into the crystalline grid. So it's powerful when we start working at that sacred geometrical level, isn't it? Sort of goes beyond our thoughts and our words. And I feel many of us have moved into that new terrain now, and it's absolutely beautiful. I think sometimes the left brain wants to kick in and try and decipher what's happening and try and make sense of it, but why? We might as well just get our codes and get our guidance and knowing in the moment and move forward. But Galactic Greg, you and I have been in the trenches for some time, which is the theme of today, the war on consciousness, which despite us really being anchored in a 5D or higher consciousness now, we're still aware of the 3D template. We're still aware of the dissolving of the dark matrix, and I guess sometimes we still get pulled into that vortex. Certainly people like yourself and myself, we're supporting people, every single day to come out of that dark matrix. You being a master herbalist and a cosmic healer, couldn't love those titles anymore. Really sums up everything that you do. So you definitely work at that cellular level, physical level with the herbs, but of course you're working in higher dimensional planes as well. So let's have a recap. What have we been through in these past couple of years? You and I were like totally out there on the front line, same as everyone's going to be listening here would have been on the front line. Big digital soldiers. We've had a kind of a matrix awakening, and now we're having a deep spiritual awakening. So I'll let you have a little chat about, the past 2 years or 3 years probably now, and what's brought us to this point in time.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and it's been one level of awareness after the other. Yes, we started out on the front lines. That was essentially the open door, the gateway was the truther circuit, the intel circuit. Let's look at the external world and let's see what's going on here, and let's complain about it because it was something to complain about. When we were able to fully see what was really going on and how we'd been deceived and fooled, or what we had later, what we found out, what we had chosen to participate in, we were like, whoa, what the hell is going on? And we strived to change it. We fought against the darkness. We called it out. We shouted at it. And we pointed fingers. We played the blame game. That was the one level of awareness. But it evolved pretty quickly. Pretty quickly, especially for me, as fascinating as shouting at a wall may seem initially, because we think that we can shout loud enough, we'll either blow a hole in it or we'll knock it down. As interesting as that seems, it got really old and it got really boring, and especially with the overall intel community and the intel aspect of it and the information of it, although very fascinating, very, very fascinating. And it definitely played on our savior complex, right? Just realizing that we've been through this horrible, horrible mess for thousands of years, eons. And now all of a sudden there's this plan in place. There's this great plan in place. And there are these people that are stepping up and doing the right thing, and they're going to help us. And there's this and there's that, and there's timelines and there's possibilities, and there's all this fantastical stuff. It was very easy for even someone like myself, who is a big skeptic and uses logic and reason almost all of the time. It was very easy for me to fall prey into that, and for me to be shackled by that at one point in time. But I was able to, I evolved pretty quickly, because as the greatest gift throughout that experience was the disappointment, and therefore the attachment to the outcomes that didn't play out, and the disappointment that followed through that. That disappointment, it allowed me personally, Carrie, and I know it did this for you and many others, it allowed us to turn inward, because we began to realize that the external was never going to change for us. It was only going to continue to deteriorate, and that we could no longer rely on external forces or individuals to come save us. And then we realized that there is no one coming to save us. We're actually the ones who have to save ourselves. And that was, again, leveling up to all these new levels of awareness, and then just beginning to see the holes in all this, and how most of it was Swiss cheese. And you could, you know, and there was no weight or validity to it whatsoever. It was just another narrative. It was just another story. Now, grant you, these external narratives, do they play a role? Absolutely. Are these things going down? Yes, absolutely. But again, they're only telling us what they want us to see. They're only showing us what they want us to see, and they're only telling us what they want us to hear. But far beyond that, there's more to it. There's more stories that we don't know. So at the end of the day, the true story, the real story that matters, is our story. We're the ones putting the signature on this, not anyone else. It is a collective consciousness. It is a collective journey, but it is also the individual journey. And that's what I realized most prominently. And that's when I began making the pivot, in a really hard, fast pivot. And certain aspects of it were harder to let go of, because you still hang on to that. Well, if it does happen this way. But I began to make a really hard, fast pivot. And I'm very blessed to have been, deeply connected with individuals such as yourself, Robin and Leah, and some others who also made that pivot and inspired me to essentially step into that. Rather than me doing it alone, I'm very grateful that I didn't have to do it alone, that there were others that saw it as well.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I think for so many of us, we're already spiritually awakened. You were already doing your herbal work, working with people in terms of consciousness, raising consciousness. But we were so blindsided by what happened in 2020. And I would go across the board to say everyone on the planet was, even the top level activists who knew about the narrative long before many of us really became aware. We all got pulverized by left field. And I think, when you get king hit, you're going to get knocked down, and you're going to get dizzy, and you're going to try and work it out. And you're so lifeless at that time that you do look for a lifeline outside of yourself. And I think it was such a critical juncture that we were at to know how to navigate it. And we're going to talk about this soon, looking to truthers, and we would put you in that role. To me, you were one of the truthers at that time that I was listening to, absolutely, for sure. But there was always something about you. I remembered you from, whether it was a galactic past or a past life, there was always something about your eyes and the tone of your voice where I thought, no, he's the real deal. He's got he's cultivated this other wisdom and this vibration that you can trust. But of course, there were truthers who were very showy, had a lot of followers, who really rose in notoriety very, very quickly. They seemed to have the absolute slickness with the gift of the gab. And, we all got our heads turned. And now we're seeing the concepts. Are they controlled opposition? Are they simply just big egotists that will just keep spewing out the doom and the gloom because it's sensationalist, it's drama. And what has been the narrative up until this point on the planet? Well, it's drama. You look at any shows on TV, it's all drama. You know, it's designed to feed something within us that needs that gossip and that constant hypervigilance. But as you say, you did the pivot because you went, well, inner peace is all that matters. I've only got to look to myself for that heightened vibration. And when I anchor that heightened vibration of pure love and pure God, Goddess consciousness, that is what accelerates us into that new earth paradigm that so many of us, I think we knew in 2020 that new earth paradigm was there. I think for anyone who knew astrology and had done consciousness work and had all these other threads going on, I think we knew this was a portal, a catalyst, a gateway through. I think you said the word gateway, actually, Galactic Greg. And it certainly is. And I believe we've arrived. I believe we've actually stepped through that gateway now, and we have absolutely arrived in that place. So it's just beautiful to watch so many key players, decode constantly, because it's every day I think that we're having to dive back in and do this inner work and figure this out and keep moving through this pathway, this golden pathway that's, been laid down for us. So I guess, where we're at now and what we can speak to now, which I'd love to hear your ideas, is what is this ascension? What is this gateway that we've all, as a collective, moved through? How would you describe that?
It's evolution. Pure and simple. It is the evolution of a soul within a physical temple, within a 3D dark matrix, and becoming a master of self, becoming a master of the emotions, learning to unattach, learning to, I think the simplest way I can put it is learning how to love and learning how to self-love. That's truly how we you said decoding. Most of these truthers and intel folk are decoding things, but they're decoding on the outside. It has nothing to do with the internal work. It has everything to do with what's going on out there. Out there. You can decode what's going on out there. But so that teaches you one level of awareness. Again, it's just reinforcing your connection to the external. Okay, but it's not, but what we're really decoding now and what this gateway is that we're walking through, Carrie, and where we're at now is that we're decoding ourselves. We are actually decoding ourselves. We're actually finding out who we are in all aspects. And one of the biggest gateways that I and myself, Robin, Leah, my twin flame have walked through recently and have discovered that we have lived our lives trying to identify with either good or bad or anywhere in between. Okay, we're trying to attach to things, and we do things because it makes us feel good, right? Everyone's trying to feel good on this planet. Even the narcissists, everyone's trying to feel good. Even the dark ones, everyone's doing something to feel good. And I'm channeling Leah here for a little bit. I have to give her credit because this is, we're so connected. Her thoughts are coming through right now on a live stream.
Love you, Laura. Yeah.
But we're all trying to feel good here. Everyone.
Hang on, is it Princess Leia or Leia from Canada, or both?
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, absolutely, both. But we're all trying to feel good here, and we've been spending most of our lives trying to identify with that, trying to identify with being good, trying to being bad or being anywhere in between. It's actually not about that. When you begin decoding yourself internally, you start to realize that, oh, holy shit, I have aspects of everything in me. I have all aspects of dark and I have all aspects of light in me. And maybe the reason why I've dealt with so many narcissists is because, well, I have a little bit of that tendency in me as well. See, it all comes down to looking yourself in the mirror. And I know that scares the living daylights out of individuals, especially on this spiritual journey. It scares the shit out of them because they don't want it to be them. They don't want it to be them. We always want to externalize the bad guy. We always want to point the finger at someone else. Someone else is always to blame, right? And that's what the external decoding teaches you, that it's someone else. It's the elites, it's the pedophiles, it's the politicians, it's this, it's that, it's the other. But it takes us away from looking at ourselves and saying, oh my God, it is me. It is me. And I've made these choices, and I've chosen to participate in this, and I've chosen all of this. So it's not about, so the real decoding and the real gateway that we've walked through now is realizing that we are the I am. And with we are the I am, Carrie, we are all of it. We are all of it. We are all, I mean, we have tendencies to be a narcissist. We have tendencies to be bad. We have tendencies to be good. We have tendencies to be loving, caring, compassionate, ignorant, displacent, complacent, lazy, everything. This is all part of the human experience. It's a wide array of experiences and emotions that we signed up to feel and experience. So we're not here to identify with being good, bad, or anywhere in between. We're here to be the I am. And that's the gateway that we walk through now. And that's the real decoding. It's not decoding a song or what someone's body language is telling you or a piece of intel. It's not about decoding that. That's one level of awareness. The real decoding comes internally, where we realize that we are all of this and that we have all aspects within us of dark and light within us. And that's when we begin to truly strike that balance, that sharp balance. And we're able to accept ourselves both in present and past with love and compassion. We can look at those past selves and therefore fully understand why that past self did what it did, why it acted in the way that it did, why it felt the way that it did. We can fully understand that, Carrie, and then we can actually look at ourselves with love and compassion and understand that that past self led us to where we are now and actually got us to that gateway. Yes, we had to take 2 steps forward and 12 steps back, because those 12 steps back held a wealth of value to us, a wealth of lessons to us that we were therefore able to jump 20 steps forward. So we begin to understand this at a grand level when we actually start decoding ourselves from within. And that's the real decoding. That's the real work. Out there is just a story. It's just a narrative. Is it there? Is it real? Is it taking place? Absolutely. We're not denying that. We're not saying, no, nothing to see here. No, it's there to see, but it's not there for you to absorb. It's just observation. It's literally food for thought. That's all it is. The real story, the real decoding, the real work is within yourself.
Wow, that's some advanced consciousness right there. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone explain it that well. And absolutely, we are just the observer, because in our omnipresent self, that's all that we're doing. We've simply just inserted ourselves into this dreamscape. So once we live in a multidimensional way, there's always the opportunity to go back to that highest form of consciousness, whether we call it prime creator, God, goddess, doesn't really matter. We've all got our own way of perceiving it. For me, it's the latest is seeing it just as pure, undistorted geometrical coding, just pure light coding. But that part of us is the observer. That part of us doesn't assign any right, wrong, good or bad. It just simply is. And I really love what you say about the observation too of these other characters in the game as aspects of self. And Galactic Greg, not many people speak to that. They're definitely, and again, theming back to this chat, the war on consciousness, war in itself denotes that there's a battle going on and there's us versus them. And I believe, again, because you know me, I'll always talk through the different dimensions of consciousness. I believe that that's worth accepting in the lowest dimensional realms, that yes, there certainly is a battle going on. And I know for you, you definitely embody that Thor template. And in fact, me just getting ready for our show, I'm like, I had Thor come to me telling me, okay, you need to speak about this, this, and this. And then I messaged you And you were like, yep, my higher self agrees with that. And I'm like, yeah, I thought that was something to do with you. It's not like Thor, we channel Thor very often. So we get to, here's one of my homies. Here's another Greg who's been on with you before. Hey, Greg and Greg.
Greg.
So, there's something definitely going on other dimensions of consciousness. And then, of course, Thor carries the hammer. He's got the lightning bolt as his weapon of choice, dare I say it. And, he's a powerful being. You're a powerful being. How can we be the observer, but also simultaneously engage the sacred battle here in these lower dimensions, knowing that what we are slaying are aspects of our dark nature, which are in desperate need of an upgrade in consciousness. Because I'm the sort of person, people say, oh, you just got to love it away. It's like, no, we're not here to love it away, because if I send that energy love, they're just going to take that and misuse it. I'm going to love it as my observer self, loving my whole galactic game that I scripted and created for myself. Yes, I absolutely did. I'm that powerful. But in this realm of doing the sacred battle, they're not going to have me just love and light it away like a fake woke little yogini that I am. I'm going to pick up the sword or Thor's hammer or use that lightning bolt. How can those two worlds go together, between observer that accepts what is and third dimensional self that's fully engaged in this battle right now?
Well, from my experience, I participate in the 3D aspect of this existence, every single day. And especially now we're beginning to feel the weight of that collapse, right? Everyone's feeling, especially here in the States with inflation, and all the fear mongering and fear porn and the systems and mechanisms are essentially disintegrating. So, I go out into the world every day and have to face that, have to circumnavigate that. The one thing about Thor's hammer, about Mjolnir or Stormbreaker, regardless of how Marvel has depicted them, which is great for an action movie, but in all reality, if you go back to the first film, what Odin said is that it was either a tool to destroy or to build. And that was the same way with Stormbreaker, although Stormbreaker can be seen as a bit more egoic because it has an axe on it. But nevertheless, axes are also tools to build, especially when it comes to, carpentry and woodcrafting and things like that. So Thor being the grand aspect of my higher self, I have actually learned to use that so-called weapon as a tool, through consciousness, through the physical body, through the soul, through the vessel. And just what I do is I circumnavigate these circumstances. Yes, are they unfair? Yeah, absolutely they are. But they're not holding me back in any way. I think that's the key point, is that many individuals will find themselves stuck, or will find themselves attaching to the fact that there's inflation and everything is so expensive. Okay, well, that's one level of awareness. Again, that's one level of awareness, but I am not going to allow that to prevent me from going out and providing, organic, rich, healthy food for myself and my twin flame. I'm not going to allow that. I am abundant. I am prosperous. And that's wielding that hammer in a whole different way. Rather than swinging it against someone's skull, I can actually place it on the ground and say, no, this is my boundary and this is my power, and I'm standing in it. So it's not necessarily, it's not using the hammer, it's knowing how to wield it, and knowing in which the way to wield it that serves you best throughout every situation. So when I go out and participate in an inflated society, I am abundant, I am prosperous. I don't need to worry about what the prices of things are. I don't need to play in that game. I don't need to worry about food shortages. Can't tell you how many times we've been hearing that for years now, but yet we're throwing away more food than what we're consuming anyway. So how does that add up? So I just don't participate in the fear aspect of these realities. And with that, you can participate in them and navigate through them without having to actually go to war or go to battle, but yet you're still putting your foot down, you're still laying your boundaries, and you're still standing in your power. It's almost like standing on the other side of a battlefield, Carrie, and the dark side is sitting there waiting for you to make the first move, and all you do is you lay down your hammer, and they're sitting there going, oh, so that's how it's going to be. So do we move, or do we advance, or do we stay here? It's almost like intimidating the fear aspect of it to essentially not participate with you. I'm not participating with you. I'm not participating in this. Therefore, you stay over there, and I'm just going to go this way. So that's how I can conceptualize it for the audience, because that's how I interweave myself through this matrix without attaching to the bloody war, having to be out there every single day, swinging the hammer, swinging the sword, raising the shield every single day. Because if you do that, then we're defined by our struggle.
Yeah. You're going to get tired swinging that hammer all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the critical difference, is that when you are so empowered within yourself that you take it up to the boundary line and you lay down the hammer. So you are stating your claim as to who you are. And that's the difference, because most people are running in the other direction from the demon. And so therefore the fear just keeps perpetuating, and they're in a constant state of hypervigilance, using their left brain to try to figure out a formula, how to get that demon to stop chasing them. But when you just say, I've had enough, I'm so tired of running, I'm so tired of my fear, I'm so tired of my struggle, I'm just simply going to turn and face it. And in that moment of laying down the hammer, and commanding your prowess, bringing through your lightning rod as needed in the moment, that force that was opposing you just crumbles into nothingness. And we can talk about these concepts as if they're very easy and as if it is a supernatural movie or a video game. And in many ways it is. Once you get to a certain level of consciousness, you don't take life seriously. You're not concerned about death. You're going to exit and enter again at will as you choose. But most people aren't at that point, let's be honest. So maybe they're going to take in these kind of conversations with an aspect of themselves, like they tilt their head to the side. I like what you're saying, but I don't know whether I can live that. But you are an example to me of someone who absolutely does live it. So all that people have to do is look to someone like you and go, okay, it's possible. I can do this too. And I can engage that, maybe the imaginative process to bring through my galactic self, or bring through my supernatural self, or my superhero self. I would say to anyone who's listening, who are you aligned with? Who were you in love with as a child? Like, who are your superheroes? Bring those energies back now. Know that it actually is you. You're not making it up. It's time now to activate in ways that maybe you thought weren't possible. We certainly knew it as children until we had that imaginative process knocked out of us. I was just saying to someone yesterday, I used to play as a little girl all the time on my mum's piano, Puff the Magic Dragon, over and over and over. And it's such a beautiful tune, if anyone knows it, but it's also really tragic, because in the end, a little boy who always goes to visit the dragon, he stops going to visit. And it's at that point that the dark matrix gets him and shuts his imagination down. And he would believe that the dragon isn't real. But the dragon is absolutely real. And we have to get back to that. We had to peel back the veil between the worlds, like our original people do here in Australia. They don't even question it, because they haven't. I mean, many have been sucked into the dark vortex, but many haven't. Many have been able to maintain their mysticism. They go outside, they see a shape in the cloud. It's a sign, if it looks like a panda bear, there's a sign about the pandas. It's that easy. It literally is that easy in the moment. Goddess will give you codes and clues and signs and symbols. And whatever your question is at that time, you will be given a way through. And it's up to you to trust that and to move forward. So to me, like you say, it's all within us. We're decoding within ourselves. It's that battle, dare I say it, of, am I going to let that negative voice that wants to have all this proof about what I'm doing quantified, or am I just actually going to trust these codes and these knowings and these signs and these symbols, and that I am a supernatural superhero, and then I'm just going to get groovy and keep moving upon the path? So, wow, who knew it was so easy?
Yeah, well, it was an arduous process for myself that began from birth. I mean, that's why they put me on drugs such an early age, Carrie, because I was in tuned to so many realms and so many frequencies. And in the 3D matrix, they tune that as voices. You have voices in your head. And I just didn't know as a child and as a young adult how to formally express that. So it was medicated. It's very much like Professor Xavier, if you ever see Days of Future Past, where you see him in the past as a young man trying to medicate his abilities because it's just too much. You know, all these frequencies and energies coming in all at once, it's too much. He's denying himself his gift. I did the exact same thing throughout my journey. Alcohol and drugs was my supplement for that. But again, I laid down my hammer and I had enough. I had enough of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that, so it's a long process, but yes, it does get easier. As you go along, as you continue to ascend to those levels of awareness and consciousness. And you're absolutely right. We do need to get back to pulling back the veil and getting back to that playfulness, that aspect of infinite possibilities, and that there are things out there that, yes, maybe we can't explain. There are things in other realms. There are creatures in other realms. Yes, there is Sasquatch. Yes, there are dogmen. They're here in the Ozark Mountains. That's why the Ozark Mountains are weaved in such a way so that dogmen can go through the trees and you only get flashes of them. That's how they show respect to us, so that they don't scare us too much. Because something like that would be like, whoa, it would freak you out. Definitely an adrenal rush, right? So these things do exist, and we have to open up our hearts and minds to these infinite possibilities and be playful again, and pull back the veil and understand that the universe is essentially one giant billboard, and it's always trying to advertise to us. It's a billboard of energy and frequency, and through that energy and frequency, it's advertising to us. It's communicating with us. Along the road of life, you're just going to see more and more billboards, and it's more and more frequencies, energies, and communications to you. I cannot tell you how much I've synchronized over the past couple of years, and every hour on the hour, I'm seeing every angel number that there is, repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over again. These are signs from the universe. These are signs that you're in tune, that you're aligned. These are things that we just need to pay attention for and be grateful for. It's the universe communicating with us, sending us messages. Again, on that road of life, you're seeing that billboard. That's the universe saying, hey, something's coming. You need to look at this. You need to look at that. Or abundance is coming. Prosperity is coming. Hey, get back on track. Look back within. You know, we are these grand and powerful receivers and radio towers of energy and frequency. I know that I am, probably more so than anyone else, which is why I made the pivot that I made, Carrie Ann, because I realized I did not want to be like Professor Xavier trying to medicate this. I needed to embrace this and then therefore learn how to channel it properly, so that it didn't, take me off the beaten path every day, that I could actually stay focused and stay centered and actually learn how to harness this gift, not just for the good of the collective, but for the good of myself, first and foremost. Because if you don't know what this is, and if you don't know, you can't acknowledge it properly and can't recognize it, it's going to drive you batty. It's going to drive you crazy. And then you'll end up attaching yourself to those labels of society, which are not true. Absolutely not true whatsoever. So this has been an incredible, arduous journey, but it does get easier and easier the more we do that inner decoding. You're just able to make those quantum leaps, which is what I've done. Myself and Floyd have done that in 7 months. 7 months. And it's felt like 7 years. but it's 7 months. We've just quantified our existence, our prosperity, our abundance, which is our birthright. And we knew that from the very get-go. And we claimed that to the universe, and we just stepped into it, and we didn't look back.
Yeah, and there's specific souls, very supernatural souls who almost, ascended masters really, who are back here, sort of going through their own initiatory processes, quite refined, advanced spiritual lessons. Everyone's on a continuum. So if this sort of feels right for the people listening, if you don't mind me asking you, Greg, about the twin flame union, because there's certain, as I say, supernatural individuals who are going to join forces with another supernatural individual, and that fusion of energy is really, I see it as healing the Earth grid, because I see as the Earth is off axis at the moment, so the twin flame reunions really help to tilt the Earth axis, line us up with the central sun through the galactic center, because Mother Earth, no matter what, she's stepping herself into fifth dimensional consciousness as her next anchor point. But there's higher dimensional beings that have come back into 3D to support that process. And of course, the twin flaming is, well, it's sort of beyond words, really. So if it's too personal for you to speak about it, I understand. But, maybe there's some insights you can give us about that twin flame union that you've been in for the last 7 months.
Well, it's different for everyone. I can tell you that much. It really does depend, honestly, on the work that you've done with yourself beforehand. Because a lot of times with the twin flame connection, it's the runner and the chaser, right? Because we haven't done the work. The twin flame is truly your mirror. Floy is my mirror. She reflects back to me not only the highest aspects of myself, but also aspects of myself that I need to focus on, and that I need to work on, and that I need to integrate and to heal. And for that, I am very, very grateful. We're very aware of that. We're very aware that we're mirrors for one another. So when there's a trigger that comes up, we don't take it personally. We just kind of walk ourselves through it. We kind of traverse the territory. We go through it. We shed tears. We express ourselves, and then we integrate it, and we heal, and we move on, and it's on to the next stage. So twin flames it's different in every case. I really do feel. I also do feel that myself and her had some interventions in order to find one another. Our paths are uniquely orchestrated to connect and to unionize in such a potent and powerful way. So it's quite the journey. It's not going to be, easy for everyone. Like I said, most people find themselves in the runner and chaser aspect of it, in which they're not quite ready to fully unionize. I'm grateful, eternally grateful, that myself and Floy spent years within karmic relationships that allowed us to look at ourselves and spend a lot of time on ourselves. And we truly, truly committed to ourselves first and foremost. And that time of committing to ourselves first and foremost, it opened more doors than we could possibly imagine. And it allowed our connection to take place in such a manner as it has, and to exponentially grow the way that we have, because we are still collectively unionized in a couple and a partnership, yes, but we also work on ourselves first and foremost. We understand that, and we respect that respect and honor that space of individual growth as well, which is, it just amplifies that connection. There's a true profound love, compassion, and respect for one another, not just together as a union, but individually as well. And that's key. And I want to convey that to the audience. That's really what it takes. I know that there's a lot of twin flames out there right now that are not ready to unionize. They may know each other, they may not know each other, but we have a lot of internal work to do, because that connection, Carrie, is so monumentally explosive. It is, and I can attest to it. I can attest to the love that I feel for her. I can even attest to the hormone production that becomes reinvigorated when you meet your twin flame. It is powerful on all levels. It truly is. So it really does take that individual again, to do that inner decoding. And the more you do that, the more you will be ready to navigate through this twin flame journey, because it is. I'm not saying it's rocky, but it does require your full attention. It truly does.
Yeah, it's all those initiations again. They get very refined. And in fact, I'm being shown Jesus and Mary Magdalene as a replication of what you and Floy are doing. And I'm being shown like heaps of red roses to give to you. So you've got some powerful oversoul energy that's guiding that union, because it is that important. So yeah, that's very, very enchanting. Yeah, thank you so much for speaking to that, and as a man speaking to it as well, because I think a lot of women speak to it and then get accused of being overly romantic, but it's actually, whilst it incorporates romance, it's so much more than that. You're basically requiring two people that can stand in the flame without being burnt. It's at that point of initiation where then your fusion of energy is literally going to create wings. Like, that's what's going to happen. And I see it, the DNA process, speaking to someone like you, obviously already activated the so-called junk DNA. You know, you've come online with your 12 strands of DNA, and then if she's in the 12 strands of DNA, which she has to be for you guys to be in union, it creates that infinite helix of 144 strands, which, wow, you know, it's difficult to put those concepts into words, but hopefully people can get an understanding as to what that's about and why it's so important, and that you will not be ready for the twin flame until, as you've said, Galactic Greg, you've done the inner work. You have to have ascended within self. You have to have actualized within self. You have to have raised your own kundalini, where you're able to contain that very powerful energy. You're able to grid that very powerful energy. And then it's fusion time with another supernatural being. So it's very advanced work. But obviously, you know, the pleasure side of it is so intense. And that's really, you know, that's what we're being asked to do, that pleasure and that bliss and that orgasmic state and that making love, the energy. You got dogs? I've got
little Belvedere getting stuck over here. We have him under the pyramid, but he still barks. So
that's all right. He can bark. We like it. Bit of animal medicine.
He's got cataracts, so he's sensitive to sound. Everything he hears, he barks.
So. Sweetheart. So yeah, it's beyond powerful. You can bring him into the chat if you want.
Come on, old man. He's
I
14.
got an old man sitting beside me. How old is he?
He's 14. Come on, there you go.
Mine's turning 13.
You want to sit up?
So beautiful. Hello.
No, he's not. Come on, come here.
Being properly.
Don't be shy. Nah, he's hiding.
So cute.
He's a good little poodle. He's just getting old, and he has his little, you know, he's got his cataracts and his asthma, but he's a welcomed and loving joy to have. You know, he brings smiles to our face. He's quite the personality. Especially now at his old age, he's just very needy. So he just wants to be loved and wants to be fed and just wants to go potty. That's it. That's all he wants.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with my coconut. He's the same. Breaks your heart, but you know that they're going to be moving on probably sometime soon. But you know they're always with us. I was actually having a chat to him just this morning. He needed a big cuddle, and I said, you know, I know that you're winding down, but we're always together, no matter what happens. So, we need those animals, and in fact, it's you know, we often talk about the galactic side of things, but of course, here in the telluric realm with the fairies and the divas and the elves and, you know, the animal kingdom, and there's so much support right here. And you were saying, you know, who are they? The dogmen.
The dogmen. Dogmen. Yeah. I mean, you could call them werewolf-like creatures, but they're protecting burial grounds. They're associated with protecting the land. I know that they can be used for nefarious purposes because of what they're designed. to do, which is essentially predate. But nevertheless, in my experience, I've never gotten anything negative, other than the fact that it's quite the statuesque being to eyes upon. So
I feel like in the telluric realm, they just reflect the entity that they're in front of, the human that they're in front of. Because even where I live, every night the fairies come out in the forest. Like, you can't make it up. Like, they're generating light. Like that, they're showing me who I actually am. We don't need to be plugged in for that light to be generated. But I do know about folklore and fairy lore, and fairies can actually be very mischievous and very naughty, and they can really stuff with you if you are of a manipulative frequency. They will show that back to yourself. They'll steal things from you. They'll interfere with, different operating systems. So I understand that about the dogmen. They're going, it depends who's in front of them and what they're going to then reflect back to that person. And I think everything then becomes a reflection of self. Like you were speaking about earlier, we're only decoding within self. So even if we're looking at the world so-called out there, it's just aspects of self coming back. And this is where it can get a little bit challenging for us, Greg, because some people frustrate the absolute shit out of us. It's like, why? Why is this happening? It's like, wow, I am so heavily triggered right now. I have so much, inner work, inner transformation to still do, which leads me on to something that, and we're not going to name names. People can intuit who we're talking about. There's a few of them out there in the truther arena that you and I had to kind of go through, someone that we were aligned with, and then it really fell over because this person really thought they were the absolute messiah and started siphoning energy off many people, not just in the astral planes, but actually in the physical. We had a mutual friend that got involved in a physical living arrangement way and just got absolutely pulverized by this egomaniacal person who we'd all looked to and all got so many teachings from. And my latest is that I'm not going to throw the teachings out. The teachings actually were really awesome. But what goes on with the ego? How can we look at that without judgment? Because like you said, it's aspects of self that maybe just haven't grown up yet. It's almost like the child, the tantrum child that just wants to be the one with all the codes and all the, look to me, I've got the answers. But how can we support anyone who's listening to us either now or, on our other streams to always go back to self and what are those key kind of traits in these truthers or light workers as well, where they're sucking your energy as opposed to reminding you to fill your own cup?
Well, that was quite the experience. And again, it's just, and you don't throw out the teachings with the bathwater. So don't put the baby out with the bathwater. Rather, those teachings, they carried with them their own weight and wealth. And it's just one level of awareness, but it really doesn't hold much room for expansion. It doesn't really hold much room for growth. It's you basically have to come to this conclusion and that's it, because that's all there is. And it really does, and that's why so many people get hooked on truths and presentations such as that, because it really does validate the ego. We really do have a very deep embedded savior complex. We really, really do. And we're looking to be validated by someone or something. And when we begin to learn all of this incredible, fantastical wisdom and gnosis, things that we've never heard before, it's very easy for it to make complete sense to us. therefore we throw all discernment to the wind and we just accept it as the truth because it makes us feel vindicated. It makes us feel righteous. It makes us feel validated. It makes us feel important. Okay. It makes us feel powerful. I've finally gotten to the top of the mountain. I've pulled the flag out of the dirt and I figured it out. Hoorah, 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 hoorah. And it feeds the ego and it feeds our spiritual ego. So my grand advice, or rather simple advice to those watching this broadcast and to those out there within the community, the first thing that you need to do, rather than being so illuminated by the information, is to use your discernment. And if you don't have discernment just yet, because none of us fully did when we jumped into this, that was something that we learned, that it's going to have to be a process that you're going to have to go through. Discernment, 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 discernment. The only truth at the end of the day that actually really holds all the weight and all the value is your truth and your truth alone. And that's what we're here to do. Again, going back to the aspects of good, bad, evil, and everywhere in between, we're not here to identify with either of that. We're actually here to be the I am and to live our truth, whatever that is. So when we venture into these realms of knowledge and wisdom, esoteric knowledge, forbidden knowledge, gnosis, wisdom, intel, we go in with an open heart and open mind, but we have to go in with our boundaries firmly laid. We truly do. And we have to go in with raw and sharp discernment because, unfortunately, everything's been infiltrated. Everything. Absolutely everything. So why on earth would this community not be infiltrated? And I'm not speaking poorly of anyone. It's just observing and speaking of a reality. It is a reality and it is a truth. It has been infiltrated, and there is a lot of rabid ego running loose within the community. And again, from an observational standpoint, not saying that I myself or Carrie Ann are better than anyone. That's not what this is. It's literally, again, from the observational standpoint. This is me on the outside of that bubble, because I was on the inside of that bubble. This is now me on the outside of that bubble, observing within and seeing the exact same shit just perpetuating itself over and over and over again. And it's all to enhance the individual's ego and to eventually rob them of all common sense, all free will. And again, as you said, siphoning that energy.
And look, you and I could fall over at any time too. And I'm glad that you spoke to that. Like, we're not any better. I always have a sense of Khaleesi in Game of Thrones, who really was rising in her beauty and her power as a feminine leader and had such just majestic intentions within her. And, she commanded her dragons and just phenomenal. And everyone was like, yes, she is the figure that we need to look to. And of course, all it took, and I shouldn't say all in a simplistic sense because it wasn't simple, but it took one of her dearest friends to be beheaded, and she was on a rampage. She was on, the ego kicked in. She was so destructive that even when she won the battle, it wasn't enough for her. She had to use her dragon to, spread fire and just obliterate and wipe out all of the innocents as well. And so these are the refined initiations that, and there's so many masters on the earth right now. Anyone listening to us, you are the master too. Of course you are. But these initiations are just going to get more and more and more refined, where you could just fall into your own trap at any time. And so it's useful to speak to these truthers who we've seen, or light workers who we've seen, that are, have fallen over, but hey, they might get back up and dust themselves on and carry on and, integrate back into that undistorted geometrical passage for themselves, not for anyone else. And then we see with our discernment that actually, yes, we can collaborate with them again, and we can share codes with them again, knowing that we're safe in that container with them. They're not gonna rip our energy anymore. So it's been an intense journey already, Greg. It's going to continue on. I wanted to speak to it. I'm glad you're happy to go with me there today, because we're seeing a lot of it. And this sense of controlled opposition doesn't always mean that they're controlled in the 3D by the cabal elite players. They may be controlled in the astral, because the astral carries the dark masters as well. And they are impulsing these thought forms through these people and getting them to act in certain ways. If someone wants to, this is how I would define it. If someone wants to keep you locked into doom and gloom, it's another form of loosh for the dark masters.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that simple. Stop the fear already. You are always looked after no matter what, no matter what, no matter what. I could say that like a zillion infinity times. No matter what, you are always looked after, even in death and even in torture. I've had so many past life memories of rape and torture. And I know sometimes, because I do play in the astral a lot, and sometimes I'll get a sense, oh, they're going to send something in the 3D, and I'll be dragged out of my home, and I'll be raped and tortured again, because they don't want me doing what I'm doing. And I've even faced that reality that, well, it's only body parts. I've had that happen before. I know how to disconnect and go into another dimension. So that would be my worst case scenario. That would be my greatest fear. But even then, I've faced the demon. Even then, I'll be okay. Will it be pleasant? Absolutely not. Will I be scared? Absolutely, I will. Can I go through the fire? Yes, I can, because I will not sell my soul any longer for those treacherous forces that want to keep me locked in a fear and doom and gloom and tyranny cycle. I'm just not doing it anymore. I just say absolutely not. It's not happening, not on my watch. And Satan can get behind me or in front of me or wherever. Satan can do whatever Satan wants to do. I'm just like, you're knocking at the door, but you're not coming in. So these are the things that we need to speak to. So, hey, bless all the truthers that rose in notoriety very quickly back in 2020, got a big audience, and then tripped themselves up because they're just feeding that audience who are relying on them for the next bit of intel, decoding, bit of fear porn. It's no different to the mainstream media, and we have to speak to it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it is. It's just another alternative form of mainstream media under the guise of spirituality, under the disguise of spirituality. Again, it's been infiltrated. Everything has been. And so this community would be no exception to that. And once again, we throw ourselves into something, into these fantastical stories. And I can't, what I want to speak to is how many individuals did and are still hooking themselves to these grand possibilities. Okay. These timelines, these pieces of intel. How many individuals have put their lives on hold? How many individuals are still waiting for Three Georges Dam to break? How many individuals are still waiting for Nassar Jassar? How many individuals are still waiting for Trump to come back? I mean, what's the date now? What's the new date now? How many more times are we going to go through this? It truly does speak to the level of consciousness of a lot of individuals within this collective, and how easy it is to control and manipulate the masses through so many different mechanisms. And it's not just through the public arena, it's also through the private arena, through the spiritual arena. It's very easy to throw a golden carrot out to the collective consciousness and just watch them eat it up without any discernment whatsoever, saying, hey, should we even be eating a gold carrot? Is that something we should be consuming? That's what we're doing. We're the ones questioning that, and we're like, I don't know if I want to eat a gold carrot. Looks nice and everything. I'm sure it tastes good, but I don't know if I want to eat that, because that's not my truth today. I'm not feeling a carrot. I'm feeling celery, or I'm not feeling tea. I'm feeling coffee. Hush. Again, that discernment that ability to question and to say, hey, wait a minute, why are we all consuming this?
Yeah.
Hey, hush, hush, hush. It's okay. It's just people. It's all right.
He can bark. I like it.
He's got to be a tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be a tough guy. But this is where I began to pivot, because again, it's just Swiss cheese. It is, and we have to understand too. There really is a dark energy that comes with this intel. There is. There's a story behind the stories, and there's things going beyond the veil. Okay, and there's stories and dramatizations taking place behind the veil. Again, we have to start questioning where this is coming from, where is it sourced, and why is it just blatantly out there? Okay, for us to consume. And if it's blatantly out there for us to consume, then why would it actually take place? Why this is what I started to question, and this is what I actually discovered, is that there are certain aspects of truth within these pockets of intel. There is. But the majority of it is all false. It is all false. It is just another narrative. It is just another distraction. It is just another energy siphon. It is just another misdirection. It is another disguise. It is a wolf in sheep's clothing, essentially. It is another way to put you in a hurry up and wait mentality, because that's all it is. It's hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. It has you on edge, waiting for the next piece of information. You're like, oh, yes, that makes me feel good. It makes me feel empowered. And I feel better because, now there's this new timeline in place, and this and that will happen in this amount of time, and that. Okay, so I feel good. It distracts you from doing the real work, from working on yourself. It takes away, again, it is one level of awareness, although incredibly fascinating. It is incredibly fascinating. There is a dark energy behind it. That is what I began to realize, is that there is a dark energy behind it. And the reason why there is a dark energy behind it is because what it does to individuals, how it can actually morph and corrupt your mind and keep you in one spot of evolution. And when you're in that one spot of evolution with no room for any growth or expansion, you are completely and totally in ego. You're spinning your wheels, chasing your tail. That's what I tuned. And that's when I just began to just sidestep, pivot away, and understand that although fascinating, it is just food for thought. It's just there for me to observe as the observer. Nothing more, nothing less. We are creating and manifesting this new earth, Carrie. There's no one outside of us that's going to come and get us. There's no politician. There's no elite. There's no ascended master. There's no aliens. None of that is going to save us. These are just narratives. And are they real? Absolutely. Do these people exist? Absolutely. Not denying their existence or a role at the play. But at the end of the day, you are the main character in your own story. You have to save yourself. Trump is not going to do it. JFK is not going to do it. The Palladians are not going to do it. The reptilians working with them are not going to do it. I heard that the other day. No one, Jesus is not going to do it. Yeshua is not coming to get you. No, it's not what he came for. He came to show the way. He came to be an example. Something very profound that I want to add before I wrap up what I'm conveying here is, if anyone hasn't seen the new Batman movie, please do. Please do. What Matt Reeves has conceptualized into reality is the ascension journey. I thought Christopher Nolan and what he did was the ascension journey, and it was, but it was one take on it. What Matt Reeves has showed us is the real deal ascension journey. Okay. And what Batman realizes at the end, what Bruce Wayne realizes at the end, is that he started out with the concept of vengeance, and that he thought that would work. And it did for a period of time. But in the end, he realized it is a short-term solution. It is not long-term. He realized that in order to truly make a difference, he had to be the example. He had to be a shining example of that good in order to inspire others to be that good for themselves. He understood that he is just one man. He can't save a city. He can't save humanity. But if he uses that symbol and he uses his skills and his knowledge to be an example, he can inspire. And very much Christopher Nolan portrayed the same thing with Christian Bale. It was very much the same thing. But Matt Reeves really drove it home. If he perpetuates himself as that example for good without attaching to good or bad, because he's everything. Batman is everything. He's all of it. He's all the good and all the bad. I mean, he's running around beating the shit out of people. So he's all the aspects of himself, including ego, big time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But he realized at the end, holy crap, vengeance is not the way. I have to actually not attach to anything and just be who I am. And through being who I am, it's in people's hands. Whether they take that inspiration or not, it's in their hands to save themselves. The only thing that I can do to play a role in that is to be myself, to be, essentially, he said, I am the I am, without actually saying it. But that's what Matt Reeves was literally driving home. That's the message that myself and Floyd got. That's why we were on the edge of our seats going, whoa, like they actually did it. They said it. So if anyone hasn't seen it, please do.
Oh, I'm just like, bravo. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Wow. Epic Galactic Greg. So believe it or not, we're already at time. Although I'm sure everyone will just want to sit here and listen to you for hours on end. You are in the zone, brother. Holy moly. That was just next level. Like, just woo! I'm lately, Greg, I'm getting to a point I can't even speak. I just want to make like high intonation sounds and do light language. Like I'm not really here anymore. But yeah, that was on fire. The only thing I was coming through to sort of wrap it up was all these questions from everyone, like when will we get there? When will we get there? Listen to Galactic Greg. Listen, everyone. Go back and listen again if you've already listened and really absorb what he's saying.
When you get there, we'll get there when you get there. You have to get there in your own individual way. You have to get there. Myself and Floyd, Robin, and Leah were already enjoying many aspects of it. Are we fully there yet? No, because there's still more growth and expansion to go. But we'll get there when you get there. And I'll see you there when you get there, whenever that is.
And we're there now. That's the other higher dimensional side of it. That there's 3D where we're still going through our initiations, going through our growth. And then there's, 12D and the monad that's already there. It's there. We're okay. We're fine in this now moment, always. So, so much gratitude. And I know we'll be hanging out again, hopefully soon in person, like I was telling you. So, So until next time, thanks for everyone who's tuned in, your beautiful comments. And we'll see you all soon.
Yes. Soon. Thank you all. God bless.
Sorry, I haven't said about I've got your website details. Let me see if I actually got it here. I would have it here from a previous show. I might be able to scroll it up. Anyway, just shout it out for everyone so they can come and find you.
To get in our space and work with myself, Robin and Leah, Spirited Rebirth and Herbal Healing, go to www.galacticinnature.com. That's www.galacticinnature.com and click Spirited Rebirth and Herbal Healing. You can find us on Facebook, Patreon, Telegram, and Instagram as well.
Perfect. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Till next time. Bye, everyone. Bye.